Hello everyone, it's Pat from Beads and Plenty More, and today I'm going to make this wire heart that has a cage that I've enclosed a Swarovski cube. I've used this really pretty purple cube to go inside, and the heart can be hung from your cords in two different ways. I've got this one with the two hooks on it so that it hangs straight, and then the gold one here is hanging just off to the side. So it's two different looks. So let's get started. We need 3 pieces of twisted wire. I have used twisted wire because I think it's quite pretty. The gold one I used regular wire, and that works too. The twisted wire is 9 inches long, 3 pieces, and if you twist your own, don't forget to twist it first and then measure it. So what we're going to do, I have 3 pieces of 26 gauge fine wire that I'm going to use as a binder on this. And maybe I'll just put the clamp on here, oops, to hold these nice and tight so that when you do the binding it doesn't jump around. So a little short piece, we're just going to go around and do several rounds. Now this will be the bottom of the cage, what I'm creating here right now. Take off the clamp, and we're going to use the flat pliers to give it a crimp, and then we'll go ahead and cut away the excess wire here in the back on the inside part of our work. So cut that one and cut that one, and then we want to flatten those guys down just so we don't have little picky threads of wire. Okay, so that's the center right here at the bottom of the cage. So what we're going to do now is grab hold of that binding, and I'm going to make a circle to create the cage. So we'll go one way and one the other, like so. We get a nice little cage. Then I need my pliers that I'm going to use to create what I called in the wire wrap cabochon, I called this rabbit ears, because we can call that again. And we'll straighten these out, and then we want to bring that unit right close together, and we're going to use our second piece of binding wire there. Just double check, yeah, that's big enough for my Swarovski cube. Of course you can cage anything you'd like to cage. If you might have a special stone when you come back from holidays, or if you've lost an earring, for example, maybe you want to keep track of the other one because it's important as a gift. Okay, so we've done a little binding there. Once again, I'm going to do a crimp on that, and I'm going to separate these 3 and 3 so that that binding stays in place. And again, I want to cut away my excess wires. Nice and close, and then we'll go back in with the pliers and tighten that up. Okay, so now to form the cage, we've got 3 wires, so we're going to take one from each side and push them out like that. And again, on the opposite side, we'll do the same thing. The end of my wire sticking out, we'll tuck it in a little bit better. Okay, now before we go too far, we want to make sure that the cube is going to go inside there, but I can do that at the very end. So now these 3 wires on each side, we're going to make the arches of the heart. So I used the Sharpie marker so that it's kind of something to roll around. Just roll around for an arch on one side, and roll around to create an arch on the other side. Then we take a look at them to make sure they match up pretty good, and we bring these wires down below the cage like that. So this is what we're getting. Now, before we go too much further, I want to make sure these arches kind of match. This one looks a little bit smaller, so I'm going to give it a little bit more size. There we go. So once again, when we bring these down, I want to take the pliers and make that rabbit ear effect. One that way, one that way, and we'll bring them in tight. And when we get to this point, we want to center up that little cage and tidy up everything. Give that a little bend out so that it sits right in the middle. Now, my last little binding wire is going to go here. So we'll give it a wrap around, nice and tight. And again, crimp that down. And before we go any further, we'll take my 3 wires each way to hold that binding from moving. And make sure these are tight. And we'll cut away those excess wires. That one. That one, and again, go back in with the pliers to drop those in little pieces nice and tight. Okay, so what we want to do with these ends, I'm going to cut off these and make the little flower effect on the bottom. So I only need just enough to make a curve. So I'll cut one, and then cut the others to match. Always be careful when you're cutting that you don't have them snap at you. So I've got those 3 on that side cut, and I'll move one to this side so I get the same length. Again, having them exactly the same length is not critical, just very close is nice. Now, the round nose pliers are what we use to make our little curls. Put that one back on that side. Get in there with the round nose pliers and curl up all 6 of these little wires. And they should sit kind of all in a little grouping so that they make a flower. 3 from one side, and then this side will roll the other way. 1, 2, and last one. So you can check that it looks the way you think it should. Maybe this one should move over a little bit. There we are. Now we're going to get that cube inside there before too much further ado. And just make sure that all our little caging wires are going to hold it in nice and snug. There we are. Just stretch that out just a touch. There. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is to show you how to make the little hook. We need about 1 inch of wire. So we'll cut it there. And we take the round nose plier and go right to the very biggest part of the round nose plier and roll around that way. Then come to the other side and roll around into the, to make something somewhat like a figure 8. I'll leave that open just for now because I'm going to hook it in. Hook it into 1 or 2 of the wires and close it up so that it's nice and solid. So then you've got a piece that your cord can go through there. So I hope you enjoy making some wire hearts when enclose any little things. The crystal looks particularly nice, but anything will look good in there. And bye for now.